You're watching the Daily Climate Show on Sky News. On today's programme, we visit the world's largest wind turbine testing facility to find out if the UK can become a world leader in wind power. The beans that could save up to 4.5 billion litres of water a year in Latin America. And two technologies making air conditioning more climate friendly take the top prize at an international competition. But how do they work? Hello and welcome to the UK's only daily climate news show where we track the changes happening to our world right now and meet those coming up with the solutions. We aim to take you to the heart of the climate crisis, explain the data driving the changes that are already affecting us, but also show you just how far we've come. Boris Johnson has said the UK will become the Saudi Arabia of wind, but it is a huge task to be as big a producer of wind energy as the Gulf state is of oil. In the last 20 years, the contribution of wind power to the UK's energy mix has risen from around 320 megawatts in 2001 to more than 24,000 megawatts in 2021, a 73-fold increase. That sounds huge, but it's still not enough. According to the National Grid, wind could become the dominant source of energy in the UK as we move towards net zero emissions. It can be generated onshore from turbines anywhere on land or offshore where the turbines are in the water. In terms of onshore wind, look at how far behind the UK is compared to countries including China and the United States. But offshore, the UK benefits from geography and comes out on top, providing almost a third of the global offshore wind power. Our correspondent Lisa Holland reports now from Blyth in Northumberland, home to the biggest wind turbine testing facility in the world.
The port of Blyth used to be Europe's biggest exporter of coal, but has been transformed into a hub supporting offshore energy. We're heading out to sea from the Northumberland coast to one of the UK's fast-growing number of wind farms. This is how the Prime Minister is hoping to deliver on his bold boast for the UK to be to wind what Saudi Arabia is to oil.
The UK has what many countries don't, an abundance of wind. Here in the North Sea, these giant turbines are generating clean, renewable energy. When we talk about reducing emissions and tackling climate change, this is part of how that's happening.
Business leaders say the UK has been slow to pick up on the wider benefits of wind development.
The vast majority of all wind turbine components are built abroad. So whether that's Germany, Denmark, Spain, France, etc. And that's from the top of the turbine to subsea.
This is the biggest blade test facility in the world. At 107 metres, you get a sense, with me and the director of the facility walking beneath it, just how long this prototype is.
The growth in this technology has been so rapid, and that we're at capacity. And if we're going to keep the UK at the cutting edge of this technology, then we need to continually invest in research infrastructure.
The government wants to produce enough wind to power our homes by 2030. It may be on track to do that in the UK, but not to generate enough to export around the world in large quantities. Lisa Holland, Sky News, Northumberland.
Well, let's head over to our data dashboard now, and you can see the breakdown of where electricity in Great Britain is coming from today. At the moment, 56% is coming from fossil fuels, 26% from renewable sources, including wind, and 18% from nuclear. This month, we've had the lowest average minimum temperatures for April since 1922. That's according to early figures from the Met Office. And we've seen increased levels of fossil fuel use because of it. And you can see a more detailed breakdown of where that energy is coming from, including how much is being generated by wind power on our website. That's at skynews.com/climate. Let's take a look at some of the day's other climate news now. Climate activists have blocked an entrance to the Faslane nuclear base in Scotland. Members of Extinction Rebellion and Trident Ploughshares attached themselves to giant plant pots at the north gate of the base in Argyll and Bute. The group say they want a future that's safe from the threat of nuclear weapons and environmental disasters. Co-op has become the latest supermarket to say it will stop selling plastic bags for life. The retailer said lots of people only use the 10p bags once before throwing them away, leading to a rise in plastic use. It's estimated the move will reduce plastic waste by 870 million tonnes every year. And we're being encouraged to let our gardens go wild. Plant Life wants people to leave their grass unmowed and let wildflowers bloom on their lawns as part of No Mow May. The nature charity says it will help boost the number of daisies, dandelions and other flowers that provide food for pollinators. In Mexico, the average person eats 8.6 kilograms of beans each year, but growing them takes billions of litres of water. And in Latin America, up to 80% of bean yields can be lost during an early drought. Now, scientists at the University of Sheffield, in collaboration with experts in Mexico, have developed a bean which uses 40% less water, saving up to 4.5 billion litres a year. I'm joined now by Professor Alejandra Covarrubias from the Plant Molecular Biology Department at National Autonomous University of Mexico, who worked alongside the University of Sheffield's Institute for Sustainable Food. Alejandra, thanks very much indeed for being with us. Tell us about the new bean and why it's important.
Well, this new bean is in progress still, but it's very, very important for Mexico because, and all Latin America and even Africa, because one of the main problems for the cultivation of this crop is the water. You know, most of the bean is grown under rain conditions, so it depends mainly on rainwater. So we can have lost more than 70% of this crop. So it's very, very important to have crops that are drought tolerant and that can stand these very severe conditions in the environment. So it would be very, very important to have these kind of beans growing in Mexico and Latin America. Yeah.
So there's a double benefit: crops that survive drought using less water, but also providing food security then for millions.
Yeah, sure. Mexico has a lot of varieties of beans because, as you may know, the origin of this crop is in Mexico, in Mesoamerica. So it has been improved along 1,000 years. So we have many different kind of beans that have very different nutritional characteristics. So we may say that beans are almost the perfect food because it has fiber, it has carbohydrates, it has a lot of protein. And so in that sense, it will have, as you say, two main advantages. We will have beans that can stand low amount of water in the soil and also beans that have a high values of nutrition. Yeah.
How urgent, Professor, is the need to develop more climate-resistant crops like these?
Yeah, it's very, very urgent. Mexico and Africa, it has a lot of arid and semi-arid soils. So now the drought is really invading most of the territory of our country and, of course, of Africa and many other territories in South America. So is very urgent to have this kind of crops growing in the world, actually. Yeah.
Professor Alejandra Covarrubias, great to hear from you. Thank you. Two technologies to make air conditioning more climate-friendly have won an international competition worth $1 million. The prototypes have 5 times less climate impact than standard air conditioning units. When scaled up, such technologies could prevent 132 gigatons of emissions between now and 2050 and mitigate over 0.5 degrees of global warming by the end of the century. Well, joining me now is Dr. Radhika Khosla, Associate Professor at the Smith School of Enterprise and Environment at the University of Oxford. Radhika, thanks very much indeed for being with us. In a context of climate change, how important are innovations like these?
They're incredibly important. Now, we know that in terms of air conditioning, the number is that an equivalent of 10 new air conditioners every second for the next 30 years are going to enter the global market. So you can imagine how enormous the energy demand that is going to come from air conditioning is. And innovations like this and prizes like these are necessary for us to be able to bring a step change in reduction in the amount of energy that air conditioners are using. And so I think this is an excellent initiative, and I'm delighted to see the two winners that have emerged.
We're kind of in a trap situation at the moment, aren't we? The hotter the climate gets, the more cold air we need to use, and that then contributes more to global warming. So how do we get out of that?
Yes, this is indeed a terrible feedback loop, particularly one that haunts air conditioning, because we need air conditioning to keep us cooler, but that's actually making us warmer as a planet, just as you said. Now, the ways to get around this are both have solutions both in the active cooling world, which is the use of technologies, and in the passive cooling world, which is when we use non-mechanical energy or non-electrified energy to be able to provide our cooling needs. So, for instance, one big way is to actually increase the energy efficiency of air conditioners themselves, and that's precisely what this prize does. Another way is to focus on passive cooling solutions. So, for instance, using phase change materials for buildings, for windows, increasing the insulation of the built environment itself, using vegetation as a way to lower temperatures, and then also to use behaviors, right? So to sort of say, what is the set point temperature at which we put our air conditioner? Is that really how cool we need the room to be? Or could it be a few degrees warmer and still provide thermal comfort? Do we leave the air conditioner on when we're outside the room, for instance? So using behaviors as a way to moderate energy demand is also another way in which to break that feedback loop, which is quite a difficult one.
Dr. Radhika Khosla, thank you very much. That's it for today's show, but you can get your climate fix over the weekend with our podcast. On this week's episode, we're talking fashion. Anna Jones is joined by top designers, luxury brands and activists to find out how we can make sure the most glamorous of industries doesn't cost the earth. That's on Climate Cast, and it's available wherever you normally get your podcasts from. And on our weekly digital show this week, we're finding out the climate impact of cryptocurrency and hear the behind-the-scenes story of how our correspondent, Tom Cheshire, filmed at a secret Bitcoin farm in China. That's available on Sky News' social channels, our app and website. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.